Minority Leader, now it's your time. You have 15 minutes.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, thank you for according me this opportunity. From the onset, Honorable Speaker, the minority supports the motion on removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Rigathi Gachagua because, Mr. Speaker, he is unfit to hold office. In Kenya, and yesterday it was clear to all Kenyans to see for themselves the danger this country is in, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the impeachment of the Deputy President is not merely a procedural step. Rather, it's a reflection of our commitment to accountability and the rule of law in this country, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the integrity of government and the stability of our nation is at stake, Mr. Speaker, as we speak this afternoon in this House, this evening, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, national security is at stake. Honorable Speaker, the economy is at stake. Honorable Speaker, the DP, since he assumed office, we have witnessed nothing but abuse of power, discrimination against communities, insubordination, disregard for the two levels of government, corruption, bullying, and many other actions that undermine the rule of law, Mr. Speaker, as well as actions that are unethical, illegal, and that severely breach public trust as contained in the motion by Honorable Wenge Mutuse, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in supporting the removal of the Deputy President from office, we are rejecting the invitation by Honorable Rigathi Gachagua to accept tribal bigotry, Mr. Speaker, skewed resource allocation, and the exploitation and domination of minorities as fait accompli in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, before I move forward, or before I go on with what I wanted to say on the motion, Mr. Speaker, I would like to take this chance first to respond to some of the issues that he has raised in the House a few minutes ago, or his responses, Mr. Speaker. In the first place, his response came very late in the day to the House, Mr. Speaker. He tabled his response at 4 p.m. in the evening today, Mr. Speaker, and he should have done it either yesterday evening or this morning, Mr. Speaker, so that the House can get enough time to peruse what he has said, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, one of the grounds that is being accused of Mr. Rigathi Gachagua for impeachment, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of what he calls shareholding, Mr. Speaker. He has said Kenya is a company with shareholding. But in his response, he comes here and tells the House that he did not mean that. What he meant is that he was talking about political parties, Mr. Speaker, and listed the political parties that have formed coalitions within Kenya Kwanza, Mr. Speaker, including Ford Kenya, ANC, PA, and all other parties that have formed what is called the Kenya Kwanza coalition, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to contradict what he said by saying that political parties are national in nature. Ford Kenya is a national party. ANC is a national party. All the political parties that formed a coalition with Kenya Kwanza are political parties that are of national, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in this country, under the Constitution, you are not allowed to form a tribal party. You are not allowed to form a religious political party, Mr. Speaker. You are not allowed to form a Mulima political party, Mr. Speaker. That is very clear in the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. And if the Deputy President is not aware of that, I can read out for him, Mr. Speaker. Under Article, Mr. Speaker, 91, every political party shall have a national character as prescribed by an Act of Parliament, have democratically elected governing body, Mr. Speaker, And it also says in part 2, a political party shall not be founded on a religious, linguistic, racial, ethnic, gender, or regional basis, Mr. Speaker, or seek to engage in advocacy of hatred, like what he does sometimes, on any such basis, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you cannot equate political parties to what the Deputy President has been propagating for the last 2 years in this country, Mr. Speaker. The Deputy President has told Kenyans in no uncertain terms that Kenya is a shareholding company.
Order, honorable members.
And if you do not vote, for Kenya Kwanza, you do not have any shares, Mr. Speaker.
Order, Yegon, and your team. Ngong.
Mr. Speaker, members now are excited because they are not happy with the response the Deputy President has given them. Now they want to vote and go home. I know what they are doing. I know, but let's prosecute the matter. We have to respond to the issues he has brought to the House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, political parties are not equal to regional and ethnic, conglomerations that the Deputy President has been advocating for the last 2 years, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to give him a good example like ODM. ODM has sent the other day 6 experts under the broad-based government, Mr. Speaker. 6 experts. Where are those experts coming from? One is from the coast. Beatrice School is from Turkana. Oparanya is from Western. The Attorney General is from Kisumu. Mr. Speaker, when he's talking about 30% of Ford Kenya and 30% of ANC, he thinks those positions were given to lawyers as a community, Mr. Speaker. When Ford Kenya is a national party, those positions belong to members of Ford Kenya who are in Mombasa, who are in Migori, who are in Kakamega, who are in Bungoma, who are in Eldoret. Ford Kenya has membership in all the country, has membership, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, that ground is not, he cannot controvert that ground by saying that he was talking about the power sharing within Kenya Kwanza. No, he was talking about ethnic groups, Mr. Speaker. He said this government was formed by 2 ethnic groups, and that's how they are going to share power, Mr. Speaker. So that ground stands, Mr. Speaker, and that ground is impeachable, Mr. Speaker, on the Deputy President. The other issue, Mr. Speaker, I want to respond to that he has raised here, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of national security. He said that the NSIS, Mr. Speaker, can be called out whenever they are out of order, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the man Deputy President sits in the National Security Council, Mr. Speaker. He doesn't need to call out any government organ in the streets, Mr. Speaker, like the people who do their things in the street, Mr. Speaker. He's a man who sits in every governance organ of this country, Mr. Speaker. All organs of government, all governing organs are also oversighted by committee of this House, Mr. Speaker. What happens, Mr. Speaker, in this country if every member of parliament goes out there castigating governing bodies and constitutionally created bodies of governance, Mr. Speaker? We are going to have anarchy in this country. Mr. Speaker, I am not convinced that he has answered in any way that question as to why he was castigating bodies like the NSIS and the police out there when he's the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. On that ground, Mr. Speaker, I feel he's impeachable on that, Mr. Speaker. He has not given us any sufficient answer to that question, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of Justice Maina. He said that he was not attacking her because of the judgment she rendered against him, Mr. Speaker. And he said that he had filed a petition with the Judicial Service Commission, Mr. Speaker. He who wants equity must come with clean hands. You cannot castigate a judge in the rallies, in burials, and then you want JSC to listen to you. You can't have both ways. If he wanted JSC to deal with that matter, if he was unhappy with the way the judge has handled his case, Mr. Speaker, he should not have castigated her in a burial, Mr. Speaker. He should not have talked about her in a very demeaning manner, Mr. Speaker. He should have kept his cool and filed his petition with the Judicial Service Commission, Mr. Speaker. On that account, Mr. Speaker, he has failed the leadership and integrity, Mr. Speaker, under the Integrity Act, Mr. Speaker, and on that account, he's impeachable, Mr. Speaker. My last point, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of the renovation of his house in Karen, or the official residence of the Deputy President Karen, Mr. Speaker. You remember the Deputy President, when he was assuming office, when he was taking oath of office at Kasarani, Mr. Speaker, the way he lectured us, the way he told us that they have inherited empty coffers, Mr. Speaker. There is no money in this country. The former regime has looted and gone with everything, and goes ahead after 2 months to renovate his house, his official residence, with over 100 million, 45 million shillings, Mr. Speaker. Imetoka wapi, Mr. Speaker? Where has that money come from? Where has that money come from? He has not convinced us in any way how that money was spent, how those companies were paid, and on that account, Mr. Speaker, because of misuse of public resources, he is impeachable on that account also, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to say this. When we gave ourselves the new constitution in 2010, we knew very well that we were coming from an era where we cannot impeach the president, we cannot impeach ministers, we cannot impeach the deputy president. Kenyans gave themselves the new constitution, and they put in there Article 150, knowing very well that one day they will hold their leaders, the president, the deputy president, accountable, Mr. Speaker. And they gave that mandate to this House, Mr. Speaker, and the Senate, Parliament in general, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I was shocked under the public participation, people saying that Kufa Makanga, Kufa driver, Mr. Speaker. We cannot allow the driver to die, because it is an issue. We are witnessing a situation where the Makanga wants to take the steering by force. And what happens after that? The driver is carrying 55 million Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. We cannot allow the driver to die, because 55 million Kenyans are going to die with him. But the Makanga, who is just hanging at the door there of the matatu, can go, Mr. Speaker, if he misbehaves, Mr. Speaker. And, if he's not doing his work properly, Mr. Speaker, the easier one to go first is the Makanga, because the Makanga is the one who should be telling the driver what to do. And they're telling us here, Kufa Makanga, Kufa driver. The petition of the driver is not with us in this parliament. The petition we have, the motion we have before us today, is the motion of the Makanga. And we are going to deal with him perpendicularly and thoroughly, Mr. Speaker, this afternoon. Mr. Speaker, I want to tell the House that us, the people of the minority, the Azimio people, Mr. Speaker, we have lived like orphans in this country for the last 2 years. Why do I say so? Mr. Speaker, we are taxpayers. Some of the places that contribute to the highest taxes in this country are areas that are dominated by Azimio people. And then somebody comes here and tells me, you are not a shareholder, you're not going to get services, you're not going to get development. What the hell is that? What the hell is that? Does the taxes that are paid by the Azimio people count for nothing, Mr. Speaker? And it is coming from the high office of the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is the time we are going to correct this thing, so that it never happens again, so that we don't have another Deputy President who comes later. Because when we impeach this one, another one is going to be appointed. This is a lesson to the next one, that if you misbehave, we will just take you through this Goleta, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to conclude by saying this. Let us not personalize offices. We don't have any ill will. We don't have any bad faith. We don't have anything that we are holding against the persona of Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua, Mr. Speaker. We are dealing with the office of the Deputy President currently occupied by one Geoffrey Rigathi Gachagua, Mr. Speaker. The office holder. And let us not personalize. The office does not belong to him, does not belong to anybody. This is a constitutional office, and the Constitution has prescribed how to deal with you when you misbehave in that office, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, for Kenya to become cohesive, Rigathi must do what? Rigathi must? For Kenya to become cohesive.
Okay, give him 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker.
Give him 1 minute.
Mr. Speaker, I was telling members, for Kenya to unite, Rigathi must. For Kenya to prosper, Rigathi must. For Kenya to have unity, Rigathi must. For shareholding to end in Kenya, Rigathi must. For us to have a peaceful country, Rigathi must. Thank you very much. That is the mood, and that is what we are going to do.
Thank you, Kimani Ichung'wah.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for this opportunity. Honorable Ekomas Mutuse, the member for Kibwezi West, approached me with the impeachment motion. Honorable Speaker, I took some time not just to go through the grounds that he had stipulated for the impeachment of the Deputy President, but also to reflect on what Honorable Mutuse was asking me, not just as a member of parliament for Kikuyu and leader of majority party in this house to do, but also took time to reflect and ask the Almighty God to guide me and give me wisdom to do the right thing. Honorable Speaker, I pray to God that the Almighty God may give me wisdom to do that which is right. And not just what is right, Honorable Speaker, but also what is just. Just to the outgoing Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, but also just, more importantly, just to the people of Kenya who turned out in their numbers in 2022 to vote in a government that they believed would create cohesion and unity and offer them opportunities to excel and prosper as a people. Honorable Speaker, as I prayed for wisdom, I was also conscious that what is right is not always easy. And what is right is not always popular. And being a son of the mountain, representing people of the Mount Kenya region, Honorable Speaker, it was clear to me that what may be popular today may not be right. And that is why I asked God to give me the wisdom to do that what is right, Honorable Speaker. And I am here today to do what is right for the people of Kenya. I am here to do what is right, not just for the people of Mount Kenya. I am here to do what is right for the greater good of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Speaker. And that is why I rise to support this impeachment motion, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, having listened to Honorable Mutuse and all the grounds, and having looked at the Constitution, Honorable Speaker, and I would beg for us to look at Article 150 on the removal of our Deputy President, the reasons as to why you may remove a Deputy President from office. The first one is on the ground of physical or mental incapacity to perform the functions of that office. We have no capacity to determine the physical and mental capacity of the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua. But on impeachment as a second ground, the first ground is on the ground of a gross violation of a provision of this Constitution or any other law. The question that begs is whether one Rigathi Geoffrey Gachagua has contravened or has grossly violated one provision of our Constitution. And I think the Honorable Ekomas Mutuse was able to demonstrate this morning that Rigathi Gachagua has violated not one, but over 8 provisions of our Constitution, which I agree with the Honorable Mutuse. And for that reason, Rigathi Gachagua ought and must be impeached today. The second ground, Honorable Speaker, is where there are serious reasons and Senior Counsel Otiende Amolo went to great length this morning to explain what serious, when you believe there are serious reasons that the Deputy President has committed a crime under national or international law. Honorable Speaker, behind the veneer of humility that you have seen here this evening, behind the veneer of humility that Kenyans saw on national TVs on Sunday, pretending to apologize, is a dark face of violence. Is a dark face, Honorable Speaker, that is a great danger to our nationhood, a great danger to the unity of our republic, Honorable Speaker, a danger to the cohesive existence of our nation as we see it today, Honorable Speaker. On the first ground, Honorable Speaker, on the remark of Serikali ni kampuni, it pains me, Honorable Speaker, as I say, not just as leader of majority, but as a member of parliament of Kikuyu constituency, and also as a son of the mountain, where I come from. That, Honorable Speaker, today, the community I come from is being depicted as a community that is entitled and privileged. We are a community, Honorable Speaker, that has love for other Kenyans and other communities in our republic. We are a community that is known for our hard work and resilience, not for entitlement. We are a community that is peace-loving and that believes in the unity of one indivisible nation and Republic of Kenya. Rigathi Gachagua does not believe in an indivisible country. He believes in parochial, selfish, regional, and sectarian interests. And for that reason, Honorable Speaker, we ought and we should impeach the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua. Honorable Speaker, we need to ask ourselves as honorable members of parliament, who took an oath of office, Honorable Speaker, and we swore in the name of the Almighty God that we would obey, respect, uphold, protect, and defend this Constitution. And today, Honorable Speaker, what we are being asked to do is to recall those words of the oath of office that we all took either with the Bible or with the Holy Quran in our right hands, Honorable Speaker, that for a man who has grossly violated our Constitution, whether we will stand up today to be counted as protecting and defending this Constitution by sending home one Rigathi Gachagua, Honorable Speaker. I want to say I rise to the occasion today to do what is right and to reaffirm that oath that I took with the Bible in my right hand, to obey, to defend, and to protect this Constitution that we all swore to defend. And I call upon all of you, honorable members, to defend this Constitution. Honorable members, for Kenyans around the country who watched in disbelief as the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua went to great length, and the Honorable Otiende Amolo told us this morning, if you have to spend 2 hours on national TV to defend corruption and tell the world how you are not corrupt, you are definitely corrupt. Honorable Speaker, the Deputy President with his legal team submitted their defense late at 4 p.m. this afternoon, imagining that we will not have the time to go through this voluminous document. If you go through what Rigathi Gachagua was telling you here, on Olive Garden Hotel, he claims that this hotel was sold by executors to a third party. Honorable Speaker, if you peruse through the documents, the third party that he said to have bought this hotel, Honorable Speaker, and allow me, Honorable Speaker, first to tell you that the joint executors of the will of the late Governor Nderitu Gachagua were Rigathi Gachagua, Advocate Njoroge Regeru, and one Mr. Mwai, who was said to have been his great friend, Mwai Madenge. Honorable Speaker, if you read the report filed in court by the Joint Will Executors, filed on the 27th of June this year, it says in the report that the Joint Will Executors will make decisions independently of the beneficiaries and without influence from any beneficiary, except for one who is both a beneficiary and an executor. The Joint Will Executors does not have the same attributes and mandates as for trustees, where beneficiaries would play a part assisting in decision making. What this is saying, Honorable Speaker, a document filed in court, is that Rigathi Gachagua, as a Joint Will Executor, was also a beneficiary of the estate of his late brother. He was not only a Joint Will Executor, he was also a beneficiary, and he was also a purchaser for value of the estate of his late brother. Olive Gardens is said to have been sold to one gentleman that many of us know, the Honorable Gishimu Githinji, the member for Gishugu, will tell you that the gentleman who is listed here as a purchaser for value for Olive Gardens, one Peterson Jomo Mushira, was a candidate in Gishugu constituency. He is a direct proxy of one Rigathi Geoffrey Gachagua. And Honorable Speaker, I must confess, and I am sorry to my friend Peterson because I know him. I just called him this afternoon when I saw this document. And I asked him whether TM Civil Engineering Limited is his company, and he confirmed to me it is indeed his company. I therefore want to tell you Olive Gardens was purchased through the proxy of Peterson Jomo Mushira with 0 shares and TM Civil Engineering Limited with 6,000 shares. Those who have visited the Annex House, the Office of the Deputy President, know this Jomo is a permanent fixture in the Office of the Deputy President, and therefore his direct proxy. Honorable Speaker, we are also told, Honorable Speaker, that these very hardworking young Kenyans, in the names of Keith Ikino Rigathi and Kevin Gachagua Rigathi, who are listed on the CR12 of the documents that were tabled this afternoon by Rigathi, are shareholders of Vipingo Beach Resort that owns the Vipingo property in Kilifi County, the one the Honorable Chonga was speaking about. Rigathi Gachagua told Kenyans on national TV that this property is still owned by the family and therefore is still part of the estate. Keith Ikino and Kevin Gachagua, his sons, were not joint will executors of the estate of Nderitu Gachagua. And the owners who are listed on this CR12 is Keith Ikino Rigathi, Kevin Gachagua Rigathi, and the estate of the deceased James Nderitu Gachagua. It is a rather ingenious way of trying to hide behind the estate of his late brother. And how shameful, Honorable Speaker, that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya would hide behind the veil of the estate of his late brother to disguise what is outright proceeds of crime, because he is a purchaser of this property, and that is why his 2 sons are listed as directors and shareholders of Vipingo Ridge, of Vipingo Beach Resort. But he was on national TV telling Kenyans, this is a property that belongs to the family, and we have decided to keep it. This is a House of Records, Honorable Speaker, and it is good we gave the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua an opportunity to be heard so that we can expose his lies in broad daylight or this early in the evening. And I want to tell Kenyans and all of you members, save this country from this dark face, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. Save this country, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, because of time, I know there was alluding, Honorable Speaker, if you look at the time this company, Vipingo Beach Resort, was formed, it was founded on 5th August 2008. I would guess if Keith Gachagua is 31 years old today, at the time this company was registered, he was only 15 years old or 14 years old. He cannot have been listed as a director. His younger brother must have been 12 or 13. For heaven's sake, Deputy President, give some credit. Honorable Speaker, we also had the issue of shareholding, Honorable Speaker. And we were told that in our coalition agreement, Honorable Speaker, and you are then the leader of Ford Kenya, and you know you never subscribed to shareholding in our coalition agreements within Kenya Kwanza. Anybody who subscribed to the Kenya Kwanza coalition was subscribing not to shares, but to an ideology, a shared ideology, not shareholding, as Rigathi Gachagua wants Kenyans to believe. Honorable Speaker, let me finish by saying, Honorable Speaker, that the mountain is intact. The mountain is intact. The mountain is intact. The mountain is intact. The mountain is named after Kenya because it belongs to all the people of Kenya. We must end ethnic balkanization.
Give him another 2-3 minutes.
Honorable Speaker, I was saying to conclude, to end the balkanization of our country into ethnic fiefdoms under the control of warlords, we must send Rigathi Gachagua home today. To end divisive politics in our country, Rigathi must. To end the culture of impunity, conflict of interest, abuse of office, state capture, and corruption in high office, Rigathi must. For accountability, for there to be integrity in the political governance of our country, Rigathi Gachagua must. For leaders in high office to bear policy and political responsibility, Rigathi Gachagua must. For national unity, for the fight against graft to bear fruit, for peace and prosperity of our nation as one indivisible whole, one nation under one flag, one people who love their country, who love peace, who want to see a cohesive and working government serving them. Rigathi must? Rigathi must? I submit, Rigathi must go.
Thank you. Order. Honorable members, order. The honorable mover has donated his time as follows. Charles Nguna, CNN, you'll start with 2 minutes. Omboko Milemba will follow with 3 minutes. Peter Kaluma will follow with 10 minutes, and then he himself 15 minutes. So, CNN, Charles Nguna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me thank the Kenyans who just expressed their views during public participation on this matter, Mr. Speaker. And to add this, I keenly followed and listened to the Deputy President yesterday, His Excellency. And Mr. Speaker, based on all what is said, we saw a lot of differences, rift, contradictions, divisions, which are totally eminent we are going to have in future, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is inevitable that we are going to have battleground between His Excellency the DP and His Excellency the President. And when the bulls fight, Mr. Speaker, grass suffers, Mr. Speaker. And it's that why I'm saying that if we continue keeping one of them in the office, Mr. Speaker, Kenyans are going to suffer most, Mr. Speaker. And based on my wisdom, for prosperity and also for development, for what we call prosperity and patriotism, and for us to live in an amicable manner and peaceful manner, Mr. Speaker, we have to separate the two bulls, Mr. Speaker. And the motion today, it is for Rigathi to go, not for William Samoei Ruto. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Omboko Milemba.
Honorable Speaker, there's a question which makes me stand to speak on. And I want Kenyans and possibly the members who can listen to me to realize that one issue that has not been answered consistently is the question of chairs. Yesterday I listened to the Deputy President and today also. Whenever he's asked about chairs, Honorable
Members,
Speaker,
can we reduce our levels of conversation?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Whenever he's asked about the issue of chairs, he picks ANC party agreement and Ford Kenya party agreement. And instead of answering that question, he hides in it. Finally, Honorable Speaker, I'm now holding the reply by Honorable Gachagua, and on page 333, the agreement is annexed. And I want to demonstrate to this parliament that what you have been told was wrong. Because that agreement does not talk about just power sharing for a region. He has avoided intentionally to read the entire paragraph, which says that the sharing of the political parties will also depending further on the need to achieve an inclusive government that reflects the face of Kenya, including the need to accommodate the representation of any future member party and all regions of Kenya. He avoided to read that and therefore gives an impression that there was a power sharing agreement which only confined ANC party to Western only, when ANC party is a national party. Look at this, Honorable Speaker. The only member of the ANC party we nominated was Honorable Dena Hamisi, who comes from Kwale and not Western. So this is an issue which has not been tackled. Two, he is unable to deal with Senior Counsel Tienda Molo's assertion in the morning that how would you elevate the agreements of a political party beyond the Constitution of Kenya. It's very important that as you make your decision, you get that this was a false lie. Finally, Honorable Speaker, in all this we have seen all the techniques of card stacking, of propaganda, which include card stacking, emotional appeal, branding, and that's why we have seen the name of the president being dragged in this matter today. I think the motion on the floor is for the makanga, is not for the driver. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I support.
I have been advised by the mover that Lilian Kogo will take 2 minutes and Kaluma 8 minutes instead of 10. Lilian Kogo.
I thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. And I want to thank all the members who have contributed to this motion. I rise to support. I had not given my voice to it. But Honorable Speaker, as you were speaking earlier, Honorable Speaker, I believe the Honorable Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya was following the proceedings of this House. And one of the matters, Honorable Speaker, that came out so clearly, Honorable Speaker, was the insult on women, Honorable Speaker. women form a substantive position in this country's national development, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I expected that when the Deputy President came to this House, he was going to address this matter on a special way, Honorable Speaker. But I did not listen. I did not hear him. I did not hear the Deputy Speaker say when, where, how. The Deputy President, sorry. I did not hear the Deputy President, one Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, answer to the question of saying that one noble member of this House, the Honorable Jemachia, is a Malaya, Honorable Speaker. It concerns me, and I wanted the Honorable Rigathi Gachagua to tell this House where, how, when, who witnessed him sleep with one Jemachia and how he felt. We wanted to know, because we are not going to allow women to be used with derogatory language moving forward, Honorable Speaker. It is nobody's choice to be a Malaya. These are mothers. It is nobody's choice to be a Malaya. These are our sisters. It is not...
Time up. Peter Kaluma. Peter Kaluma. Peter Kaluma. Honorable members.
I thank you. Yeah, Honorable Speaker, I thank you in a very special way. Honorable Speaker, I have this benefit of speaking after listening both to the mover of the motion and to the Deputy President, who is the subject matter of this motion. And so, Honorable Speaker, I can look at it from all perspectives. Honorable Speaker, allow me to start by saying that I listened to the Deputy President, as I did to Honorable Mutuse, with the mind of a lawyer, looking at how the grounds have been addressed, their particulars, and how they have been addressed by the two respective parties. And Honorable Speaker, let me begin by saying that I don't know what happened, but we had Honorable Mutuse presented before this assembly a motion seeking to impeach the Deputy President on up to 11 grounds. And Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether it is by act of omission or commission, or it is just the nature of some people. The Deputy President focused on those matters concerning property, money, integrity, procurement, forgetting the most fundamental issues. And I want to say that even when he addressed those money issues, there are very patent gaps going to constitutional violations which are stated in the motion to be gross. I expected the Deputy President, for instance, to use the opportunity you accorded him, Honorable Speaker, to explain that SMS which came from his son Ikunu Gachagua on the bid bond issue involving that company. No mention of that at all. Honorable Speaker, before I go to the matters I want to address in substance, let me thank you, the Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, for ensuring that the process this House is going through has been very fair. And in doing so, Honorable Speaker, for according and upholding and protecting the provisions of Article 47 of the Constitution. I hear people still saying that the courts will intervene. But I'm thanking you for this, Honorable Speaker, because the only time the courts intervene is if we have not secured a party procedural fairness. This motion was advertised across the country for the participation of Kenyans. And Honorable Speaker, allow me to reiterate this short data in 1 minute. 146,429 Kenyans said that the deputy president should be impeached. And that, Honorable Speaker, constitutes 65.11% of the people of Kenyans. 76,026 of Kenyans said the deputy president should not be impeached, coming to 33.8% of those Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, 2,452 Kenyans said Kufa Makanga, Kufa Dereva, and those other things. And there are the others. And Honorable Speaker, in terms of our constituency, which is Homa Bay Town constituency, 1,080 Kenyans whom I represent said the deputy president should be impeached. And Honorable Speaker, that constitutes 89.81% of the population of the people of Homa Bay who are duly notified. 54 Kenyans in Homa Bay Town constituency, constituting 5%, said the deputy president should not be impeached. And then 56, which is another percentage there, said other things, including Kufa driver, Kufa Makanga. Honorable Speaker, let me clarify this other issue also. That the courts have persistently and consistently said that public participation must be meaningful. If public participation should be meaningful, and Honorable Speaker, you made it so open, at the county headquarters involving all constituencies, and then all constituency offices remained open on that day, and you notified it to the public, Honorable Speaker, following that order of court, then really, there is nothing much for us to continue debating here. If public participation is to be meaningful, then the Kenyans have spoken. And as their representatives, we can only give meaning to what they say during public participation by securing what they have said, which is that the deputy president should be impeached. Honorable Speaker, because I'm running fast, let me say that this constitution has been termed a living document. And Honorable Speaker, if you look at ground one, people take it lightly. But Honorable Speaker, the idea of the unity of our nation has been the one thing which has been disturbing the people of Kenya in terms of being a nation for very long. Honorable Speaker, allow me to read the preamble of the Constitution. And this is what it says. We, the people of Kenya, proud of our ethnic, cultural, and religious diversity, and determined to live in peace and unity as one indivisible sovereign nation. When the Kenyans were making this constitution, they identified the need for unity as one people, as one thing they had to deal with. Honorable Speaker, I request the members to look at Article 4, Sub-Article 2 of the Constitution. It says Kenya is a multi-party democratic state founded on the national values and principles of governance under Article 10 of the Constitution. And Honorable Speaker, people have said so many things about this Constitution. But let me say today, before this House, Honorable Speaker, that Article 10 of the Constitution, if this spirit has a soul, if this Constitution has a spirit, then you can only find it in Article 10 of the Constitution. At Article 10, Sub-Article 2, those national values which were identified by the people of Kenya during constitution making as the things which Kenya needs to address are the following, Honorable Speaker. Patriotism, national unity, sharing and devolution of power, the rule of law, democracy and participation of the people, human dignity, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination, and protection of the marginalized. Honorable Speaker, at the very heart of a nation is equal ownership and equal sharing in the resources of the nation. It cannot be therefore, Honorable Speaker, that a state officer at the level of the deputy president is singing to other Kenyans how they are shareholders and they don't belong to this country. And Honorable Speaker, it saddens me that having given him the opportunity, the Deputy President did not proffer a defense. The Deputy President did not offer an apology, but the Deputy President said other people are also doing it. Honorable Speaker, let me say an impeachment motion proceeds in personam. It proceeds against a specific person. You may say Kufa Dereva, Kufa Makanga.
Give him 1 minute to wind up. Wind up, Kaluma.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, it does not matter. This motion we have is against a person. You cannot have a motion for impeachment against Kaluma and somebody. Those who are saying Kufa driver, Kufa Makamba, bring the driver and we will also consider it on the merit. And on account of that, Honorable Speaker, this person must go. Honorable Speaker, in the few seconds remaining, let me say that when Westgate came under attack, I lost a cousin in the name of Jackton Port. He was the first one to be shot there. When Garissa University came under attack, Honorable Speaker, I lost Solomon Oludo from Marindi, a son of our land I educated at Ubiero Primary School. Honorable Speaker, we have no problem holding the security apparatus of the nation, to account. But Honorable Speaker, we cannot have a situation where you talk that recklessly in public about our national intelligence service being dysfunctional. For a state which is permanently under terror, target and attack. And by the way, in the Security Committee, each minute, we are fighting terrorists. You cannot speak that way and come back and say it is normal. Honorable Speaker, how can you be a principal assistant to the President when each time the President leaves the country, you are organizing rallies to incite ethnic animosity against your own government? Honorable Speaker, how can you be a principal assistant to His Excellency the President when the President is having a press conference in Nairobi and you are having a separate one instead of standing with him to calm the nation from Mombasa to say that the President, in fact, there is a problem and is a dysfunction in government?